supposed to put on a show for you on Speed Weekend Sunday. Oh, I see what he's doing. Steve Austin has the double greens in hand. Let's go racing in the Bando Blast.
I think we're starting a tradition, Tim. That's awesome. Great start, and now we'll see who's going to come out on top. Yesterday, Tam Woolridge arguably had the car to beat.
Got inside, Chase McKay looking for the lead, side by side at the white flag, final lap in the Bando Blast, the 71 of McKay trying to take it away from Woolridge. Final time, down the back straightaway, Woolridge digging deep on the outside, he licks the stamp on the outside. The 71 will come to the double checker with the 0 on the outside, McKay! Finger out the window, he's your winner of the Bandolero Blast.
Live on Twitch TV.
Hey, welcome into Tim's Corner Live. This is episode number 44. That is not Denver Match It. It's a black screen now. Look.
Hold up, I'm not revealing myself on the internet. All right,
come on, do it for the fans. Do it for the fans. All
good.
three of them.
Like, we got Michael Jackson with the sunglasses on over here.
My eyes hurt. I'm old.
So this is Denver Match It apparently tonight. Dylan Langell is still here. By the way, Dylan, congratulations. I heard you had a busy Christmas.
Yeah, I got enraged. I mean engaged.
Okay,
whatever that means.
Yeah, something like that. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
We are here tonight. So this is we'll start off with this. This is a 1-hour show. Denver Match It, apparently, from what we were told, is behind a snowplow somewhere. So he is on his way. This is our awards show, year-end show. It's an hour show. Corey Casagrande and the boys at NEPS decided, hey, we're going to race on Wednesday night. So they're putting on a 20-lap Daytona race, I think it is. Paul, is that what I'm hearing?
20 laps of Daytona after a pair of heat races, getting it qualified up like the dual style first thing of the year. I'm excited. We've been on short tracks for weeks if it ain't TV, doing the big track stuff here tonight.
Oh, by the way, I talked to Mike James earlier today, and me and Paul were talking back and forth. Our first TCM iRacing broadcast of the season is going to be, I think, on Monday, January 3rd. And Mike got a new microphone. So he is excited. He's got a Yeti. He is excited. He's ready to go. It's going to be fun. So that's something to look forward to on Monday. But before we get there, this is our award show that we have. And usually before we had this live show that we do every Wednesday night, we did content on the website. I've been a little slow. It takes a little bit of time to put together all the content, what have you. So this is now the opportunity for us to sit back, talk about the season that was, the awards, the award winners, and get those all together in one package. And yes, I know everybody's been asking because I think it was Jordan Frazier and Laura and those folks that wanted to know how the Most Popular Driver Award went. They are going to have to wait until the end of the show because, Dylan, we like to keep suspense, right?
Well, you don't put the pro stock race on first at a show.
If it's going to rain, you do.
If it's going to rain, you do.
Or if it's going to snow in this case, like it is in New Brunswick, apparently. But
yes. See?
Hey, can we also mention quickly, too, what an honor to hear that the legendary Jerry Lawrence has been appointed to the Order of Canada. That was announced earlier by Heart of a Champion. That is the highest honor you can get as a civilian in Canada. I mean, well-deserved, Jerry, longtime broadcaster in the Halifax area, of course, to the racetrack scene. But what he did for Nova Scotians with disabilities as Jerry's in a wheelchair and the volunteering he's done, well-deserved. And congratulations, Jerry Lawrence, on being named to the Order of Canada.
Absolutely. Congratulations to Jer Bear and the whole family. I know they're all excited. And I got to chat with Patty a little bit yesterday, too, about the 2022 season. It's funny. It always seems like in January that racetracks and race series, they all kind of light up at the same time. And they all kind of say, hey, we're starting our schedules. We're starting everything. It's starting early. I heard from a couple of series in between Christmas and New Year's, this little, lost sort of time where you don't know where you are and don't know what day it is. So there's been some work going on in the background, and I can tell you we're excited for 2022. But let's start talking about 2021. First of all, we are going to go back and we are going to chat about the awards that we did have announced already. These are going to be the hi, how you doing, thanks for coming sort of presentations, and we're going to start with the track and series awards that we did back a few weeks ago now, Dylan. Obviously, the ECI Pro Stock Tour, Eastbound Park, and Eastbound Park and Riverside International Speedway. I got a new computer over the deal, so I'm looking at different monitors here tonight. But
you got a haircut. You got a haircut too.
Yeah, I did. We can talk about that later. By the way, we have to admit Denver into the call here too. Apparently,
if you're late, you're late. Don't show up.
Well, yeah, you can tell him that here in a couple of seconds when he connects to audio. But there's the first slide. So the best, the fan favorite touring series, East Coast International Pro Stock Tour. We had Eastbound Park as the fan favorite track, as well as Riverside International Speedway, broken into two categories in this 2021 season. The second is the events that were happening, and obviously the Speedway Fries from Speedway 660 winning the fan favorite short track bite, the Atlantic Oliver Tire 200 in memory of Jim Hallahan fan favorite major event, and the 5K race day at Petty Raceway, winning the other award for the non-major, for those events that don't have a pro stock event as their headlining act. Last week here on the show, by the way, I think that was well received, Dylan. I don't know how much fun you had, but this last week I think was well received.
Man, I had a blast. It was a fun way to kick off the holiday season. There's been so much doomy, gloomy news, but we put that aside for about 2.5 hours nearly, and we're shooting the breeze. And by the end, we were having serious conversations about race tires. So It went from having some fun and having some laughs, like with Robbie's sweater, to actually having semi-serious discussion. And hopefully that's something we can maybe continue, maybe a quarterly thing. Like maybe we do it before the season starts, to have a kind of another open chat thing, maybe a halfway through the season. You know what I mean? Like I had to throw some ideas and share some stories. So I hope you, the viewers, enjoyed it. I mean, we certainly did here at TCM. I had a blast last Wednesday.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was well received, just to sit back and kick back and tell stories and have some different people on the show, and some that, maybe haven't been on the show. Yeah, it was great to catch up with Kevin Moore. It was great to catch up with this next guy. And obviously last week we announced the EIT Race Radio Hometown Hero Award. And it went to Ed LeBlanc from Yarmouth, Nova Scotia. You want to talk about somebody that had those same traits that we saw in Robert Tomlinson, the smile on his face, regardless what happened on the racetrack. He's always happy, always smiling. Knows how to put on a show for the fans, a family man at the racetrack. Ed LeBlanc definitely, when you think of the EIT Race Radio Hometown Hero Award in memory of Robert Tomlinson, when we started doing our nomination process, that was one of the names that we kept coming back to, and on your screen is the past winners of that award, and now it does include Ed LeBlanc. So some big names on that list, Dylan, including a guy like Rick Balser, Troy Burke, Ryan Messer, Richard Atkinson, Doug Matchett, those that really promote the sport and put it in a positive light at the end of the day too.
Yeah, no, it's just looking at the list here, and a lot of great guys on there, and that award is very special. So again, congrats to Ed LeBlanc. He messaged me, Tim, the day after and said, I still can't believe that I won this award. Like when Tim said it on the air, he was almost starstruck. I mean, he was a little quiet when we told him. I think he was just trying to process the news. So very well deserved, doing some sportsman racing, and he'll be back at like Dowsett Motor Speedway in the new year when they kick off, usually in June. Do they have their schedule out already? Usually they're one of the first tracks to have their schedule.
They do not, but I think it's coming close. And Paul, let's roll the next award too, because this was already announced on the website as well. We'll keep the other awards in suspense for a couple of moments while we chat and see if Denver Matchett got ran over by a snowplow or not. This is well, Brandon, there you go. Look, he
wasn't keeping the hammer down.
No, apparently the hammer was up. Apparently,
yeah. The bump drafting did not work according to plan. There was a little bit of blocking going on, and did not get back the road as fast as expected.
Oh.
Yeah, well, sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the snowplow, sometimes you're stuck behind it. But
sometimes
at least
you're the rabbit that I smoked on the way up the road tonight too.
Oh no!
Wow, this show is already going off the rails, and we haven't even
got a family
yet. I know.
It's okay. We just celebrated Christmas, not Easter, so we'll have time.
So I
Come
guess
on.
somebody's got to find a replacement for the Easter Bunny.
Apparently.
Anyways, 8th Annual Breakout Performer of the Year Award. These results are on the website now. They were announced last week. There are your past champions of the award and some names that we have seen really build their racing careers and have really had some good seasons underneath their belts. So that was the past winners. This year's winner, as announced last week, is Corey Hall of Jolly Cure, New Brunswick. Big season. One of those seasons that when we talk about the Power Performer of the Year a little bit later on, we are going to probably mention a couple of times because of the season that he had, Remax 250, big wins at Petty International Raceway. It's for him being only a couple of seasons in to his racing career, pretty good accomplishments in the pro stock. We do have the results as well from that award. So we'll pop those up there. If you missed them on the website, these are the award results coming up next on the screen. But boys, Corey Hall, what can you say about his season?
Besides Craig Slonwhite, really, he was the man. If you pair those two guys, and ironically enough, Tim, I was rewatching the Remax 250 when I was at the gym this morning and was watching Craig and Corey go at it. Those were the two guys here in the Maritimes that were dominant in the pro stock racing scene, with Craig winning the title in the Pro Stock Tour, but Corey pretty much winning everything else. If it wasn't a tour sanctioned race, that 83 car was all over it. And very excited to see what he's going to be doing in 2022. I believe it's still all systems go for him to go to New Smyrna coming up in the winter. So that's going to be super cool to see him be very successful, I'm sure. And if we don't have too many issues with the schedule COVID-wise, I'm wondering how much more he'll race on the tour and how much of a threat he could be even more at some of the Nova Scotia tracks.
We'll get Paul to hit that transition button and we'll show you the results of this award, because he had to beat Alex Johnson in order to get this award. And Alex had a great season as well. Danny Chisholm, Sarah Thorne, who had a phenomenal year at Eastbound Park. Braxton Stafford picked up a trio of wins on the Atlantic Modified Tour. Sarah Thorne was the fan vote winner, technically tied for third when it came to the final results. But Denver, what can you say about Corey Hall and that bunch that's on their screen?
Just an incredible season, that whole 83 team. Corey, Scott, they got to be proud of what they accomplished. And not to be lost in this, is I believe this was only their sophomore season running competitively, consistently, full-time with that pro stock car. So, they maybe had a podium or two along the way in 2020. I think they had a podium at the International. And this year they just came out of the gate swinging. They were the ones to beat in New Brunswick right from the get-go when things opened up with border restrictions and whatnot. And then even still, they were tough to beat as the season progressed. And we had, the best of the best coming in. What can you say about those Fury cars? Craig Slonwhite, Corey Hall, the best of the best this summer. And, 250 win, international win. Nobody had ever done that before in the same season, I believe. Maybe Sean Tucker might have done it once, but hasn't happened very often. So definitely a huge season, a true breakout season to say the least with Corey Hall.
Absolutely. And he becomes a two-time winner of a TCM award because he won the Power Performer back a couple of years ago. So congratulations to them and the team. And by the way, Denver Matchett is now joining us on screen. We'll see if Paul can get us back here. Look, Denver is here. I'm
here.
Murdered a rabbit.
Yep. If we want to call it that, maybe the rabbit.
Did
He might have survived.
No, he did not survive.
Okay,
he murdered a rabbit. 10-4.
At least rabbit is great. Roadkill is great, right? Did you grab it and grill it up, or no?
No, that didn't happen. I don't know. How can you call it murder when he willingly ran out in front of me? The roads were icy. I couldn't get stopped. So
I bet you didn't try.
And
you sound you sound like Brandon after the Legends race I saw him run earlier on iRacing. The excuses that he had to finish fourth.
Well, I wish I had a dashboard cam, because we could play the video. He runs out from the left side of the road, across the road in front of me, and he was in the clear. He got to the other side and saw the snowbank and said, "Oh, screw this!" Turned around and came back in front of me. And at that point, it was too late. You got to commit, and he didn't commit.
Typical driver with excuses.
Of course.
Hey, Denver.
What's up, Brandon?
Even if you had an onboard, I probably would have forgotten to turn it on anyways.
That's correct. That's correct.
But you do know that you got all those experiences and all that expertise from the staff race at Speedway Miramichi, right? If it wasn't for that, You probably would have been in the ditch.
Well, the rabbit was a little bit faster than what Doug Matchett was in 2020, so I just wasn't anticipating it to come up as quickly as it did.
Wow. Okay. Well, at least we got that one out of the way. So we've done the awards, or we've gone through the awards that we've had on the website, on the show that we've announced. Now there's some, oh, by the way, we do have another award to announce this evening that's on the same lines as the Hometown Hero Award. We're going to get to that here in a bit, but because Laura was so excited for the Rookie of the Year Award, we're going to roll the Kings County Performance Rookie of the Year Award. These are the past winners on your screen now. And last year, Denver Logan Power won Atlantic Modified Tour. His season got cut short last year, but what he had on the racetrack was pretty phenomenal. Some New Brunswick names on there: Tristan Harris, Jacob Logan, Courtney Oblinus, Alexander Oblinus. There's some big names on there.
Absolutely. It's such a prestigious award, and you only get one shot at the Rookie of the Year award per division. You're only a rookie once. So it's pretty big for these guys. And this year, this award is a little different considering the year that was 2020. A lot of tracks didn't get to race. A lot of people didn't get to maybe have their rookie seasons or run enough races to lose that rookie status last year. So it was a really competitive award in 2021, to say the least, and lots of big names on that list that could have won it.
We'll roll the next slide because we might be here for a couple of minutes explaining and talking about these 5 finalists. And this list, boys, was, I think the initial list that we had was 23 long because there were so many rookies with so many reasons and accomplishments to be here. What we did is we narrowed the list. I think it was down to 17 or 18, sent them to our 6 panelists and said, here, rank them from 1 to 17, if that's even possible, or 18 or whatever we had on the list. And then we'll take the best 5 collectively and put them on the fan vote. And we'll also do the panel vote that way. So there was some really hard decisions between the 6 panelists to be made. These were the final 5 that ended up there, and each one of them deserves to be there. We've got 3 sportsman rookies. We've got a legend rookie and a Bandolero beginner rookie and a beginner Bandolero champion at Scotia Speed World. So there's the names: Colton Noble, Upper 9 Mile River, Andrew Lively, rookie at Scotia Speed World in the sports division, Braden Wadden, the champion in the beginner bandos, Brandon Carter, who calls Moncton home, calls Petty International Raceway home, but did a lot of traveling this year, and then Jason Morris, who lit it up and won, I think, all but 2 sportsman races down at Lake Dowsett Motor Speedway this year. So, boys, what can you say about these 5 that are here? Dylan, I know you got to see, I think you get to see all of them race this year, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, and some more than others. I got to see a lot more Colton Noble and Andrew Lively and Braden Wadden compared to Jason Morris and Brandon Carter. But I think the weekend I went to Lake Dowsett, Jason Morris whipped the field. Brandon Carter, the times I saw him, always up front, even at Riverside in that 65, even at Scotia getting that big win in the 65. Braden Wadden was always consistent in that number 41. Andrew Lively was this close to getting his first win in that 25. Almost did it in Sydney, actually. Was having some decent runs there. Colton Noble, I mean, that young man impressed a lot of people, a couple of wins under his belt, and was running up with the heavy hitters. So I don't know the winner of this. I'm very, very much looking forward to seeing who's going to win this.
We're going to leave the suspense for just a couple of more moments. Obviously, Colton Noble mixed it up with Cole Butcher and Nicholas Noggle for a win early in the season in Halifax. Andrew, so consistent at the start of the year, coming from a legend car. But Denver, I want to tell my Braden Wadden story because we did the Oyster Bed race. Brandon was there for it when we had the Bandoleros over with the League of Legends Tour. A lot of the Halifax cars came over because it was an off weekend for a lot of those folks. And Braden, I think, had finished 2nd or 3rd in the semi or the dash or whatever it was. And I go over and congratulate him because I'm going over to Legends Tech. And his brother, Devin, is saying, you beat this driver and this driver and this driver who have, many years of experience. And I think Braden was just taking it all in. And he kind of looked at his brother. Hell yeah, I did. And I just burst out laughing. And Braden didn't know I was behind him. It was one of those moments, I think, boys, you had to be there to see. But Braden's got a bright future ahead of him, considering the path that he's laid down this year. But Denver, I know with the panelists, it was hard to whittle it down from 17 all the way down to 5. And with the fan vote and everything else, this award was pretty hard to get to. What's your thoughts on this before we unveil the winner?
Well, Tim, it's like you said, it's hard to narrow it down. I think we have 5 excellent finalists who really encompass the rookie class of 2021. And obviously there's more that, did this, accomplish that. There was so many that could have also been on the list. But obviously these 5 very deserving, as are several others. You look at this, I saw everyone on this list race except for Jason Morris. And when I heard about Jason Morris's stats, because I never made it down to Lake Dowsett, whatever you call it. I didn't make it down there, but I was blown away by his stats. And it was incredible hearing the rookie season he had. You don't hear of that very often. Andrew Lively, very impressed with him in the sportsman class. I got to a couple races at Scotia, always competitive. Colton Noble and the Legends, same thing, right there every week. These guys made names for themselves. Braden Wadden, as you mentioned, he made a name for himself. And how about Brandon Carter? I mean, you look back at 2020, one of the performances that stuck out from 2020 was Brandon Carter's debut in a sportsman, and you knew big things were to come. There were some ups and downs in the rookie season. That happens to everybody. All of these drivers saw ups and downs, but a great class, to say the least.
And by the way, Paul, we do have still we forgot to pull the Zoom invite from last week off the crawl on the bottom. I think Craig Doucette's trying to connect right now as it is. But yeah, that link down below that you have is not valid. Please don't try to connect to it because you're probably not going to get anywhere.
I got in with it.
you are special though. That's why we have you. That's why we keep you around.
That's what Dad says.
Just Paul just rolling. Our winner of the KCP Rookie of the Year is Brandon Carter from Moncton, New Brunswick. He finished strong, and we're going to see the results in a moment, but finished strong on the panel vote. The panel vote was close. It was to the point where I think it was a couple of points back and forth between the top 3 or top 4. So it really came down to the fan vote and who was going to excel there and whose fans were going to give their driver a little bit of a push. The fan vote comes down to, I think, 25 or 30% of this vote when you all boil it all down. Brandon Carter is your fan vote winner, which helped propel him to the Kings County Performance Rookie of the Year Award. We'll roll the results on the screen. And Dylan, as you mentioned, win at Scotia Speed World, ran strong at Riverside, always great when it comes to Petty International Raceway. Guy has a bright future ahead of him.
Always a threat. He was always a guy where if you saw that 65 car rolling in with Brandon and Curtis Lindsay and the whole crew from SFR, if you knew that 65 was coming, you knew that 65 was going to be at the front. So very well-deserved honor for Brandon. Of course, you mentioned the win he got at Scotia, the performances he had at Riverside and the other tracks he went to. That's another guy who's going to be having a strong 2022. And I imagine he's probably going to be racing in that new Maritime All-Star Sportsman Series too. I imagine we'll probably see that 65 there. So congratulations, Brandon. I can see a lot of the compliments coming in here now.
And I would say Denver, he's probably not done because he's going to pick up a couple of wins, I'm sure, in this 2022 season, wherever Curtis Lindsay and Brandon and that whole SFR and 65 Motorsports crew get to, they are going to be strong. And oh, by the way, Denver 1 point between himself and Andrew Lively. Andrew had the win when it came to the panel vote. Brandon had that little edge when it came to the fan vote, and that put him up over the top.
Absolutely. You look at 3 sportsman drivers on the list, and all had great seasons in their own right. It's kind of perspective when you look at it, the way that you vote on it, because Brandon Carter and Andrew Lively and Jason Morris all ran entirely different schedules. Andrew running pretty much full-time at Scotia, Brandon focusing on Petty but doing some traveling, Jason Morris running down in Yarmouth. Some great seasons for all of them. Brandon Carter and Andrew Lively, those 2 names came up a lot this year in sportsman racing, without a doubt. So definitely deserving. And I mean, 1 point, what more can you say? 1 point, that's as close as it can get. What's the tiebreaker procedure? What if it tied, Tim? How would you settle that one?
I believe the tiebreaker comes down to the amount of votes you are on for the panel vote, which would be everybody this time. Because it used to be back when we had 10 nominees that you would have your top 5 make your panel vote. And then I think it comes down to first place votes on the panel vote. And I think it then comes down to the score on the panel vote. So if it was tied, it would have probably went to Andrew Lively for that little nod. But we are going to have the full results and who was where and whatever else here in the next couple of days on the website. It's going to be abbreviated compared to what we usually do, because usually we break it down within, a week or two, and we have a separate article for every award. But that gets a little bit, it's a lot of work on the back end when you're trying to get that all said and done. And but the Rookie of the Year is, once again, probably the closest that we've had for a Kings County Performance Rookie of the Year award run. So congratulations to those. Let's roll into one more before we lose track of time and start talking about other things. Let's roll with another Kings County Performance Award. This is the Best Looking Car Award. And here are your past champions on your screen. And it was funny going through some of this stuff. I did a lot of the graphics on Christmas Day, and looking through, there were some really good looking cars over the last 10 years that we've had. 17, 18, and 19 were broke down to late model and sport classes because we had so many nominees with the pandemic. It's all come back into one. But I know, Dylan, you've seen some good looking cars. We had a lot of good nominees this year. We've got the twofer on the screen behind the past champion. Steve Ross's car was phenomenal back in 2014.
Oh, yeah, just some absolute beauties. I mean, by the end, they may be a little worse for wear, a couple of donuts on the side, but they're always looking good at the start of the year. And just looking through that list, I mean, it's bringing back memories of seeing Ashton's 2020 car, Meg's 2019 car, just so many beautiful cars over the years. And of course, if you look through TCM's Facebook or any of the great photographers like Ken McIsaac, you'll see photos of these beautiful cars. But we will see here in just a moment who has the best looking car for 2021.
And let's roll those finalists onto the screen, and some of those cars that are there. I believe it was up to 60 nominees or close to 60 nominees this year. And our panel of 14, and this is the great thing about this. And it goes back to the Rookie of the Year award too. And we'll see it coming up in just a bit with some of the other awards that we have, Denver, is that if we did this straight as a fan vote, it would become a most popular driver award. So we do have the panel side of things. So we sent the Facebook gallery to 14 folks who had never seen these cars before. 95% of them, I think, are from outside the region. There's a couple that don't do the race car thing, and said, hey, here's the cars. Pick us your favorite five. And you can define your favorite five the way you want to, whether it's the vinyl job. I've got one that we have every year from the Southern US that goes on how the body's hung. Like, just there's some picky judges, picky panelists that we have for this thing. These are the 5 finalists on the screen. And Denver, I think the panelists did a great job this year.
I think they did too. And, we have some, definitely some good looking cars. It's been one of those years. There was, you're coming off the COVID year, and some people maybe either put a whole lot into their cars and how they look, or maybe didn't put as much into it. But, you look at the Hot Rod Classics, there's some great looking cars there. Stacey Clements, a finalist. We have a pro stock and Gary Elliott. Justin Cole definitely had the best looking street stock in the Maritimes, I'd say, bar none. And we got 2 great looking sportsman cars, Alex Johnson's. That's a nice, simple, almost like an old school look, Tim. And of course, the Oblinuses, they always have some great designs on their cars. It really, this is a good selection.
Yeah, the 48C always looks sharp. The 38 of Justin Cole with the gray base this year. He was on the show a couple of weeks ago. You can go back and take a listen to that and how that paint scheme came to be. Obviously, Stacy and Ricky did a phenomenal job with their race car. Alex and crew always put a lot of work in that. Dave Horn Automotive number 14 and Gary Elliott. What can you say about the Ironman? The Quaker State number 36 always looks phenomenal. And I guess we'll roll it. So the winner for the 10th annual Best Looking Car presented by Kings County Performance is Gary Elliott. One of the panelists that I talked to when we were going back and forth, Gary won the panel vote, and he also won the fan vote for this as well. So it was a clean sweep. And when I talked to one of the panelists, he said, I like the 36 car. And he said, the reason I like the 36 car is the base scheme is not too busy. You look at that race car, it's got the black. It's not too busy with what Kyle McKinnon, I think, would call doodads on the car. You've got the sponsor. Obviously, you can see that it's a Quaker State car. You can see the sponsors on there. It's a nice looking car. The photo is great. It's not too busy. We have some of our panelists judge by the way the photo is taken. So it's one of those things that it's a hard to get into the top 5 is a feat amongst itself. But to win the panel vote and then to go out and win the fan vote. I see Tyler Hallahan's in the chat as well, being a spotter already to Gary, and we're not even into 2022 yet. But we'll throw the results up on the screen so you can see where your favorite driver finished, your favorite car finished in this. But congratulations to Gary Elliott and Dylan. You've seen this car a couple of times. Pretty smooth and pretty sleek looking race car.
Yeah, it is. And I'll agree there that it's very sharp and it is not too busy. There's not a ton of stuff going on. You've got the black kind of line on the bottom, some gold mixed in there, but mostly green base, the gold numbers, the sponsors all pop on the car, which is very important. And you know how Gary is with his sponsors, where he wants to get the best and most bang for their buck on the car. So proof is in the pudding there. A beautiful looking car, but very close between himself and Alex Johnson. Congrats to Alex finishing second here. And it's great to see the statistics and, looking at the panel vote and the fan vote, it's almost like they're flip-flopped a little bit from second to fifth, but still these cars all look beautiful in their own right. But Gary Elliott is the winner of the 10th annual Best Looking Car Award.
And I don't have the panel vote right in front of me, but I think of the 14, I think Gary was on 11 or 12 of the panel votes. So it wasn't a clean sweep, but it was pretty close. And I know Gary always likes his cars to look good when he comes to the racetrack. So congratulations to Gary. And those, by the way, for Denver, I know you asked about scoring for the last one. It's simple. Fan vote winner gets 10, drops by 2 all the way down to 2 for fifth. Panel vote's the same score. So it's a 50-50 weight when it comes to this Best Looking Car Award. So Denver, that's some stout cars on there, but congratulations to Gary Elliott. They do a great job every time they come to the racetrack.
Absolutely, they do. And, one of the most recognizable cars. I think green is not a typical color you see, but it matches perfectly to the Quaker State sponsorship. And it's iconic. It's iconic to Gary Elliott. Really a great looking car. And, always great to see Gary and team on the track. And, hopefully we'll see them back out and, maybe they'll be able to defend their award in 2022. I guess that raises the bar. So we'll see what they can come up with for the paint scheme. They maybe tweak it a little bit and try to defend their title in 2022.
And for those that didn't make the final 5 or those that there was a couple of cars this year that didn't get nominated that I would have thought, hey, this is a shoe-in. Get your cars together, get the photos done early in the season so there's no tire marks or rubber marks on them, and just save them for September when we open the nominations for these. Just tuck them back in and get them ready for when we do open the nominations.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you can.
So for those that didn't win, can they just identify their cars as a winner?
Something like that. Yes. Yeah.
Just like Jordan Vino identified as a 7?
Yes, or identified as the 7, 11, whatever.
Yeah, we'll do that. I'm gonna put my name on that list.
By the way, we did have, I think this year broke a record. We had, I think there were 60 something nominations. You can go on the Facebook page and take a look because they're all there. We had a record of 3 nominations this year that did not come with photos, so they did not get added to the group or the album, and therefore they did not be judged. So I'm not going to tell you who it was. But there was 3 this year. Usually we have 1, maybe 2. There was 3 this year that didn't get added to that. So thanks to everybody that nominated a car. Congratulations to Gary Elliott and congratulations to the top 5 on this one. Great performance. Brendan, you haven't said anything besides the identifies as a 7. What have been your thoughts so far? We got 3 big awards, by the way, coming up here too.
I'm just kind of back in the peanut gallery. I let the pros do their thing and I just sit and observe. But we talked to Gary on here a while ago, it seems like now, and that guy just puts a lot of time into his car, and he takes the pride in it, and he mentioned that 4 or 5 different times. So
I see Nathan Langela's in here. By the way, you are streaming on Twitch now.
Yeah, people keep coming in my room. It's distracting.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
You can blame it on my mom, my brother. Dad's in bed, I think, but you can blame it on everyone else.
Okay, we can blame it on everybody but Eldon. That's that. We're still looking at. We talked about ideas for 2022 on the show. You can leave those in the chat if you want to. Guest ideas, theme ideas. I want to do a tech inspection night or a technical inspection night I talked to Donnie Greer. Donnie Greer is 100% on board. I think Eldon is still somewhat on board too.
Here, let's find out. Dad, ask him if he's on board for this technical inspection thing on Tim's live show. Hey, he's in the shower.
Ah, jeez, man.
Wonderful.
Don't go get him.
Yeah,
Don't turn your camera on. We're good.
I shut it off earlier. Don't worry.
That's great. So we got some ideas coming up for the winter months, and we're going to be cutting some content here in January as well. Still trying to nail down some locations and some different things as well. But we got some things coming up the pipe for 2022. But I keep getting reminded this is only a 1 hour show, and we got about 20 minutes to go through these 3 big awards. So let's start with this one. This is the new award. This is the Tim's Corner Motorsports Outstanding Operations Award. This kind of stems from last year, Denver, when we had Doug Matchett as our EIT Race Radio Hometown Hero Award, and what he did for the racetrack and for the Atlantic Modified Tour and not being in the race car. So we kind of had the conversation off season and trying to, I don't want to call it a wall of fame. It's an outstanding operations award is what we're going to call it. And each year we're going to recognize a person or a group that has contributed to their home track and in maritime motorsports in general to help build this thing. And obviously we're only going to do one a year, so it's going to be just as difficult as it is for the EIT Race Radio Hometown Hero Award. But Denver, you know how much Doug put into that racetrack and continues to put into the racetrack, and also the Atlantic Modified Tour as the president. So I think this is kind of fitting the way this award kind of got born.
Absolutely. I said last year to a couple people in Miramichi that everything that Doug touches, he improves it. And, last year he made the most of a crappy situation for him personally. He was injured, was told he couldn't race. He still wanted to be involved, so he took on a greater role, both, not just as the race director at Speedway Miramichi, but he was also involved behind the scenes in operations, and also worked with the Atlantic Modified Tour, took on the vice president role, and since then was elected president and helped to grow that tour and get both the track and the tour through the pandemic, and not to mention all the other contributions he made, outside the actual operation standpoint of racing, helping drivers and teams and whatnot, and just a great ambassador to the sport. And like you said, last year was an interesting year as a whole in 2020. So when it came to the award, you had mentioned it was the Hometown Hero Award was designed for a driver. Well, Doug's technically a driver. He did run a race last year. We'll remind everyone of that.
Oh yeah, here we go.
How'd it go?
But
how did he do in that race this year? Now
he won it. Congrats to him. He had the year of experience to help him out this year. But it gives now there's an opportunity to recognize both the driver and recognize someone involved in operations. It's really a great idea. And you look back over the years, Miramichi itself is the track's 55 years old, so this sport's going on nearly 6 decades in the Maritimes, and there's been a lot of people contribute over the years, and it's really a thankless job in many ways, and anyone that's done it acknowledged it. I think Danny Harvey said that on the show here last week, that it was one of the toughest jobs he ever did, and to give some of those folks some recognition, being involved in the race operation standpoint, it's definitely huge, and I'm sure the winners tonight, they're not gonna expect this. Am I right, Tim?
They're not going to expect it. Now, before we do unveil this, trying to move the award around. We kind of did that with the Hometown Hero Award, where we moved it from a couple of different markets. Miramichi last year, I think the year before it was, or 2 years before that, it was in Aylesford. It was at Valley Raceway per se. And when we had this conversation about trying to figure out who we wanted to honor, we did it with the panel vote. We didn't put it on the ballot this year as a write-in for the most popular driver when we did the round number 1 like we usually do. We kind of wanted to keep this close to our chests. There's a lot of names between race operations staff, maintenance, media, your technical officials, the people that drive the haulers to the racetrack, office managers. We had a bunch of different names come up for this. And there's one that we keep coming back to, and it started as the gentleman that I think has been at Scotia Speed World consecutively every single race, the only person longer than myself. And I've been there for 15 years, and this guy has been there. And it's not only him, and he'll be the first person to tell you that it's not just him that keeps driving back to the racetrack. It's his family that's been involved. Paul, roll the slide. Our inaugural recipients for the Tim's Corner Motorsports Outstanding Operations Award goes to the Hopper family. Lawrence, Barbara, Kevin, Kenny, and Keith. And I'm sure Lawrence is going to get at me for forgetting somebody, but I think we pretty much have everybody on there. I know Barbara hasn't been to the racetrack since the pandemic started. She's well missed. Kevin's there every single week doing tech for, if not the late model sportsman, he's over in our support class tech. Lawrence is there every single night. He's been there every single night for, I think, 16 or 17 years. He's got a couple of years on me. Not saying that he's older, he's just more experienced. And I'm sure he'll get at me for that. But he's done some other things too. He's traveled to Shediac. One of those pictures on the screen is him trying to ship the scales around. You know, and one of those guys that doesn't get a whole lot of recognition, Dylan, for what he does. But he's the maintenance manager. He's there, not necessarily 9 to 5, because his hours shift back and forth from, you know, if he has to pitch in and do rentals at the racetrack to make sure these guys get on the racetrack Monday to Friday to test their race cars. If he's not in the tech shed, he's on the tow truck on a Friday night trying to get people off the racetrack and safely. And Monday to Friday, he's there doing the lawns or you know, helping Jerome with doing everything. He's fixing the tow truck. He's moving stuff around. He's the guy that everybody calls. And, you know, we put the show on Friday nights, Dylan, and you don't necessarily see a lot of those people in the background. But if it wasn't for Lawrence, we wouldn't be racing Friday nights at Scotia. And hell, we probably wouldn't be racing.
Yeah, you said it, Tim. I mean, the whole family. Congratulations to the Hopper family. You know, with Lawrence, if he's not there, I don't know if Scotia operates really for what he does there. I mean, he goes from, you mentioned it, painting the walls to doing this, to doing that. He is the jack of all trades at Scotia Speed World. Certainly appreciate everything he does. And with the family, it's always great to see the Hoppers out. You mentioned the other kids helping out, seeing Big Daddy Kenny Hopper race, and always with the kids and being a fan favorite there. A very well-deserved honor for the Hopper family to get this this inaugural recipient of the Tim's Corner Outstanding Operations Award, for sure.
Now, we don't have a trophy per se yet. That might be something I have to have a conversation with Dave Oblinas on. But I'm sure we can get Lawrence a beer or two, because I'm sure he deserves that after a regular Friday night. This is he always says this is his slow time, but he is the chief technical inspector in Halifax, so he's fielding the calls now on rules and trying to work with these other racetracks and trying to get everything together. So and you mentioned Kenny. That's the one I didn't really mention. When he's not driving his Lightning car, he's either on the tow truck for a tour race, or he's, you know, setting up the stage, setting up the podium, and making everything look good, helping with cleanup, whatever. For those that are at Halifax at Scotia Speed World, they know how important the Hopper family is. So congratulations. I know they don't get the credit they deserve at the racetrack 9 times out of 10. So we wanted to shed some light on them here. So congratulations to them. We've got 13 minutes left-ish to do 2 awards, and these ones are big. So we're going to continue to roll through them. 10th annual Power Performer of the Year. We're going to do a little bit of conversation here because we technically didn't release a finalist list. So these are the past winners that are on your screen and well-deserving. From Ashton Tucker, Braden Langell, the Josh Collins, Tim Webster years were the Power Performer Championship that we did. Corey Hall, Dave Matthews, Jonathan Hickens, Sean Tucker, and Dave Oblinas back in 12. You got some 4-cylinder guys, you got some pro stock guys in there. Paul, let's come back to the 3 box, because before we released the name of the winner, we talked about Corey Hall and Craig Slonwhite on the seasons that they had. But Denver, you can go on about Jason Morris had a Power Performer-esque season down at Lake Dowsett. Michael Neary won everything he could over at Eastbound. Jason Gross taking away the championship over there. You know, Dylan Gosby, Darren McKinnon putting on a show with Pro Stocks and PEI. You know, we could even say Chris Wilson in the short starts that he had, won 3 in a sporadic appearance with the Atlantic Modified Tour. You can go on and so many others. And I think the 3 names that really came up, we mentioned Corey Hall and Craig Slonwhite. The other name that came up, and I was in a shop here about 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about who had the best season of any driver. Corey Hall, Craig Slonwhite, I think Alexandra Oblinas was up there as well with the sportsman season that she had. we could go on and on for hours about this. We've only got 2 or 3 minutes. But Denver, is there any other names that I'm missing that you would throw into that conversation?
There's a couple for sure, Tim. Michael Cormier had he's been the guy to beat in street stock competition. He won the Maritime Street Stock Series championship, the inaugural one, won a couple big races at Speedway 660, the 100 lapper speed weekend, the Urquhart Construction 100, a race or two at Petty Raceway. Speaking from Air Machine, Mark Kingston had a dominant season in the bomber division, won the championship, won the Firecracker 50. That's, a bunch of other wins along the way. Those two come to mind. Cole Butcher, I don't know if we've mentioned him yet. Obviously, he had, I think, 3 wins on the East Coast International Pro Stock Tour this year. A podium finish at the Snowball Derby again. So second in points. If it wasn't for a couple, late season misfortunes, he would have been right there with Craig in the championship hunt too. So there's lots of names. There was a lot of drivers with some really, really good seasons this year as a whole. But I would have to agree, Corey Hall, Craig Slonwhite, Alexander Oblinas, that's got to be your top 3.
Danny Chisholm, Craig McDonald for what they did in Legend Cars. You look at Devin Smith winning the Shriners Classic in the AJK, and Pete Miller had a great season in a sportsman car. List goes on and on of drivers that could be here. Brady Kramer's got a couple of big wins as well when you look at sportsmen. We could be sitting here for hours talking about the great drivers and the great talent that we have here in Atlantic Canada. We already know it. Our winner is a former 2-time guest on this show, and he won the East Coast International Pro Stock Tour Championship this year. The 10th annual TCM Power Performer of the Year goes to Craig Slonwhite. And I think the stats speak for themselves, and I think I got them all right. Denver, you're a stats man, so you'll be able to correct me if I'm wrong. East Coast International Pro Stock Tour champion, 3 tour wins, worst finish of 4th, which came, I believe, at Scotia Speed World. 2021 Mike Stevens Memorial champion, obviously with the 4 wins. Those are big. Runner-up pre-penalty in the Remax 250. So that's one thing we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on because we still got the most popular driver, and we got about 9 minutes before we really have to wrap up. But take away, because they raced that race, and it wasn't a technical inspection penalty that he got popped for. So that is kind of where that kind of lies. And an average finish of second over 12 races, didn't finish worse than 4th between the 9 tour races and the 3 races that he did in New Brunswick. So I think Denver, that speaks for itself.
Yeah, it sure does. And I think you got all those stats 100% correct. It was an incredible season for Craig Slonwhite, and you knew the new car, everyone had high expectations, and Craig just blew it away. The season he had this year, you could really compare to last year, what Ashton Tucker had. Ashton had 8 top 2 finishes and 9 starts. If you take away that one race Ashton had at Riverside, he was first or second every race. Craig was almost the same. Podiums almost every single race, except for I think that one race at Scotia where he was 4th. And obviously that asterisk by the 250, but nonetheless, an incredible season. The big win in the Mike Stevens Memorial, that was huge. 3 tour wins, 3 in a row, I think it was, in the championship. He's been chasing that championship for a long time. Just an incredible season, a resurgent season for Craig Slonwhite, and definitely deserving of the Power Performer Award.
Dylan, what can you say about a guy that's won pretty much everything, and after the season that he had, that resurgence to come back and finally win that tour championship?
He was the man in 2021 in that Pro Stock division. Him and Corey, like I mentioned at the top of the show, the battles they had in New Brunswick, and then with Cole and Craig back in Nova Scotia. You knew, especially towards the back end, Tim, after the first couple races there, he was really hitting his stride. I think when he broke that goose egg, that just set him off, and he was dominant for the rest of the year. Very well deserved to win this award. I can't say it enough. He was the man in that division, and I'm looking forward to see what he can do in 22. He set a very high bar for next season coming up.
With the names that were on that screen before, it's a well-fitting name to have on that past champions list. You think of the seasons that Jonathan Hicken had, those other drivers, and you look back to the 4-cylinder guys like Tim Webster and Dave Matthews that have won this award in their prime. It's only fitting that Craig Slonwhite is there. Okay, let's go to the most popular driver award. This is the award that everybody tries to win every year. First, before we go any further, these are the drivers that have appeared on multiple most popular driver ballots in 10 years. We have had 59 drivers make the final ballot since we started this in 2012. Megan Perrott did not make the final ballot this year. First time in 6 years she's not on the final ballot. Former champion in 2019, Randy Miller, did not make the final ballot this year. Both ended up bowing out after round number 2. Sarah Thorne's been on 5. Ashton Tucker's been on 4. Austin Hiscock's been on 4. Sarah McKay didn't make the final ballot this year. She's been on 4. Brent Roy, Cole Tanner, Emily Meehan on 3, and then the rest of those names down there that have made 2. So to make it through the first 2 rounds is something special. To make multiple appearances on the final ballot says something about your fan base and the folks that are behind you. Most importantly, the past winners, and we do not have a repeat name on this list. You go back to Gary Elliott last year, Megan Perrott, Isabel Getson, Austin Hiscock, Randy Miller, Brent Roy. At least he won something in 2015, right, Paul?
100%. It definitely wasn't
Paul's getting ready to race, I think.
Paul is saying something. There he is.
There we go. It definitely wasn't a Neps race, but at least he did win something. Within the past 10 years, too.
He's got a special paint scheme tonight, too. So we're going to have to watch for that 20-lap shootout a little bit later on. Mike Stevens and James Doucette, the former winners. Here are your finalists for this one to refresh your memory of the 10 that made the final ballot. And boys, there are a list of drivers on here from all 4 Atlantic provinces, from all disciplines, I think, of racing. And Denver, some big names on this list.
There is some big names, and Tim, like you said, there's a lot of these names that have been on there in multiple years, so not really a big surprise to see the likes of Austin Hiscock, Sarah Thorne. Those are probably the 2 most popular drivers in Newfoundland. They're joined by Amber Eason. Willard Hurlbert, always on that list almost, it seems like, or even if he's not on the final ballot, he's always in contention to be on the final ballot. From like Doucette, Ashton Tucker, Tanton Woolridge, both of them drivers have nearly won this award before. I will say, caught me by surprise. I was expecting, with the season he had, the Power Performer Award, I thought Craig Slonwhite was going to be on this list because I don't know if I've ever heard crowds as loud as some of the races he had, and he won at Riverside and the Mike Stevens and the championship at Scotia. So that kind of caught me by surprise. I thought his success would kind of push him into the final ballot for this award, but nonetheless, still some great names on that list. All deserving to say the least.
There were some names that missed the final ballot, and there's only 10 spots in this final ballot. We mentioned Megan Perrott, we mentioned Randy Miller, Craig Slonwhite being one of them as well. There's some names on here, all those names on there that are deserving. And we're going to have the complete results on the website in the next couple of days. We do have the snapshot coming up in just a bit, but we will roll with the winner. And for the first time, we have a 2-time winner of this award back to back. The winner is Gary Elliott. He came on strong in round number 3. He's got fans, and this is the thing that is the tangible of how did he's been here for 2 years. Obviously, he's run a couple of races off before, but he's got family here. He's got a strong fan base in Ontario, and looking from the results, we saw that. We saw a lot of the Ontario names and Ontario emails and what have you come through. Gary took it in round number 3. Let's throw the numbers up there for you. It is, I think it's 21%, I think is on here. My eyes aren't as good as they used to be. But you look back to the top 10, everybody from second, I think, on back to like 7th was only a couple of dozen votes. Austin Hiscock second, Sarah Thorne, Alexander Oblanis. I think there was 3 votes in between those 2. Tyler Hallahan, Ashton Tucker, Chris Reed were like 2 or 3 votes. Amber Eason, Wild Willie, and Tanton Woolridge, your top 10 as they were. Your first and second round are on the screen as well, so you can take a look at those. The overall vote, Dylan, the most votes, Gary Elliott won. If you combine all 3 rounds, Gary Elliott also won the overall vote too. So first time in 10 years we have had a repeat champion of this award, and only the second time in history I think that we've had somebody win 2 awards in the same year. It goes back to Megan Perrott when she won Most Popular Driver and Best Looking Car back in 19.
Best looking car, most popular dude. Congratulations to Gary Elliott. And yeah, I mean, almost leading by a country mile there in the final results. And it just proves that the fan base that he has built up, and he's mentioned like he has been in this sport for so long. the fan base he has built up, it's stuck there. And it still proves that the fans are still there and behind Mr. Elliott, who's going into what is 52nd year racing coming up, Tim, or something like that.
Yeah, and coming up with that monument 50 years with Quaker State coming up in just a few seasons too. So I know he's watching out there. Congratulations to Gary. And we saw quickly on the screen the award winners, multiple award winners that we've had in this deal as well. So, and there's not many of these names that are on the screen. I think there's 8 total that have won multiple awards. Corey Hall is now on that list after this year. You look at a guy like Gary Elliott's now on the list. Ashton Tucker is the only one that has won 4. Gary Elliott's now won 3 of these. And then there's 6 sitting at 2 awards for the TCM Best of Racing Awards. 43 drivers have won one of these awards since 2012. We're getting close to the top of the hour, and we've got the next series coming up on Bedane TV in just a few moments' time. Brent Roy, Corey Casagrande, John Peters, John Miller, those guys that you would know
Paul
from New England. No, he doesn't race, thankfully. Kyle Young is there enough, though, to put in a few laps for the Bedane TV crew. Let's put it that way. We're not going to let Paul even respond. I know he's bubbling trying to get in here. We want to thank 2 sets of folks that helped put on this 2021 season. First of all, our partners that help put on this show every single week, help us get up and down the road, whether it's getting us a meal or putting some gas in the cars to get up and down the road, helping our crew out on the TV side. They're all on the screen. The Maritime Short Track Summit as well, highlight of this year on the screen as well. Our class photo, masks, whatever else. Big thank you to Keith McIntosh and St. Louis Bar and Grill for hosting us one more time, and everybody that is on that screen that has helped out. Is the second major group that's helped put on everything that we do this year is the crew, and we had some fun this year throughout. You can see the names. You've seen the names before. They're on the screen again. Some of our crew shots that we've taken this year. From that, we included the first race that we had this year as a crew, Denver, up at the camp, to the Sydney race at Don Cherry's afterwards. We had some good times this year.
It sure was. It was another great season, and what a season! It kind of flew by, but lots of stops. We went last year. 2020 was the first year with the TCM TV side of things, and mostly centered around New Brunswick. Only like a handful of races in Nova Scotia. This year, it was spread out. It was great to be able to travel to all the different tracks, and here's to bigger and better things in 2022. It's going to be another great season, I am sure.
And the only reason why Brandon Campbell has a smile on his face in the lower right-hand corner is because he just had a steak at Montana's. That's the only reason. That's the only reason we could get him to smile.
That was Halifax, right?
That was Halifax,
No,
yes. And Dylan is smiling because we're going to eat afterwards. So I think that kind of works out too, right?
Yeah, geez, I was going tarps off there, looks like, in that photo. Was that the day that it was like 50 bazillion
No,
degrees?
that was the September race. That was the Jim Hallahan.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to know why I was smiling?
I have no idea why
I got to see my favorite legend car driver, Nathan Langell, race that day.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Sucking up again. Yeah, that's great. But yeah, thank you to everybody that's on that screen that helped in some way, shape, or form to put on the show that we did this season. I see Jason Connors is in the chat too. Want to say hello to him. Haven't seen Jason on the racetrack in a couple of years, have we, Dylan?
No, he was at Valley a couple times this year, but maybe in 22, maybe he'll finally dig out a car and get back racing. I know Dave Winger also has the bite too, that he wants to get back going.
Yeah, hopefully we see some more familiar faces in 2022, and we are getting ready to head out. So for those that are on the screen, thank you for being a part of it. And of course, we wouldn't be anywhere without everybody that's watching here tonight on Facebook, that watches on Tim's Corner TV. We do have the winter special coming up as well. Head over and enjoy 55 races in the last 2 seasons and be a part of what we do. It's a long way to the season coming up, but we do have some special shows. We are back with you on Wednesday, January 5, when we'll talk some more racing. And I see Mike James is in the audience. Monday, January 3rd, we'll be here with some Tim's Corner stuff and maybe some Eastbound iRacing as well. So that's going to do it for everybody that's helped put on this show this year and getting ready to go for 2022. On behalf of Paul Strickland Jr., Brandon Campbell, Denver Matchett, Dylan Langell, Meredith Hayes been a part of this deal. Everybody else that's been here. My name is Tim Terry. We will see you in 2022 when we say let's go racing. We leave you tonight with Craig Slonwhite's winning Burnout from Scotia Speed World and the East Coast International Pro Stock Tour Championship. Until next time, keep the hammer down. We'll see you at the track.
You can see how he's celebrating, folks. Your 2021 East Coast International Pro Stock Tour champion, Craig Slumwhite.